Alright, so I'm doing this video to kind of inform y'all that if you have a G35, right? A G35, not necessarily sure as far as like what year, submodel, rather if you got a coupe or a sedan, like a 4-door. But I got, it's a coupe, 6-speed, 2004. So the problem that I was having, which apparently it's a common problem, is that the center console stops working. And I really just noticed that it would do it most or just stop doing it. Because at one point it started like it'll work and then it'll stop working. But it got to the point where it completely stopped working. But I noticed that it only started doing that whenever I would pretty much almost stall out. Like, I guess from me not giving it enough gas or whatever, so I was about to stall out. And then it's like it overcharges or doesn't have enough charge to go ahead and keep powering all this whenever that happens. So I was watching some videos, reading some reviews, and what happens is, because I went ahead and I fixed it already, and I wish I would have had it recording, but the whole stereo didn't work, none of this shit worked, and what's kind of messed up about it is whenever this stopped working, the heater or AC would constantly blow, and there wouldn't be no way to shut it off. The only way it was able to shut off is if the AC controls were working. But unfortunately, with that happening, the AC controls weren't working, the stereo wasn't working, so it was just blowing hot ass air like anytime you would drive the car, and there wouldn't be no way you could shut it off unless you pull like the blower fuse. So I pulled the blower fuses, but the AC would still stay on. So need to say that it was draining my battery, which it did get to that point that of it happening. So it killed my battery. And so the videos that I was watching and the reviews that I was reading on, it was stating that you pull the stereo out and you take the stereo apart and you get to like the motherboard, right? So on that motherboard, it has, how can I say it? It's like a fuse. And I found out that it's a resistor, I believe is what they call it. A chip resistor is what I've heard some people call it. It's like a chip resistor, I guess. But there were 3 of them, and they're all soldered, however you pronounce it, all on that motherboard. So you got 1 solder, and then you got 2 solder, and they both connect that resistor. Well, on one of those sides, I guess from it not having constant power, that solder broke, and that resistor is kind of what I guess controls this whole center console piece. So like it controls the AC buttons, the stereo, of course that stuff up there, the AC, all of that. So I went ahead and I purchased a soldering gun. I didn't do the best job, me personally. I feel like I didn't do the best job, but I got it all soldered back together, and I got it all put back together, and now it's working. So, I mean, we'll see how long it holds up. Hopefully, it won't happen ever again. But I have a feeling that with me not really doing a good soldering job, that it's not going to hold up very good. So, if it does happen again, and whenever I do pull the stereo back out, and and I get it all ripped apart, I'll make sure to actually record it this time. That way I can upload it to the channel and give you guys like a full visual of what it looks like whenever it's taken apart, what resistors to look at, and so forth. But I mean, as of right now, Stereo's coming on. AC gauges are working versus before. See, so whenever it wasn't working, this is what it would look like. That would be on, and it'd be just blowing hot ass air. But now I can shut it off, and yeah, it's not blowing any air. So that's good. So I just wanted to upload this one, a short video, just describing the initial cause and fix that I came across that's been happening to me for some time. I mean, it wasn't like it just completely stopped working. It was like more so it stopped working for a couple days and it would work, then it stopped again. But just this recent time, it's like it completely fucking stopped. So if you are having this issue, it's about 9 out of 10 it's going to be that resistor that's on the motherboard of the stereo itself, because for whatever reason this whole center console is powered off of just that, the motherboard box or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I like I said, I found all that information out just from typing in the problems that I was having, and in some of the G35 Infiniti forums it said that this is what they were having. And there was actually a YouTube video that I watched too that showed the guy, he had the stereo completely out of the car and he was showing which chip resistors were the messed up ones. And so that's how I got the idea to pull it out myself and do all the work, because I mean I wasn't going to pay anybody to do it unless I truly had to. So if it does happen again, I'll make sure to record everything, and that way, you know, if you guys are having the same problems as I am, then you can, I guess, watch the video and get a feel for it. But yeah, so